My name is Debbie Bowerman, and I'm a registered nurse at Sunrise Hospital. I've been a nurse in the emergency room for almost 7 years, and I've been at Sunrise Hospital just turned 21 years last month. On the particular night of October 1st, my assignment was the EMS window, which is where all the ambulances and firefighters come through with all their patients, and it's the kind of the person who's in charge of all the beds in the department for that night. Myself and one of the physicians, Dr. Menez, were sitting up front and we were joking around, and we heard a page overhead, Dr. Menez to Station 1 stat. And nobody pages a physician stat unless there's a situation, a patient's crashing, something like that, and we didn't have any critical patients there that night. So he ran up to the front. All we heard was MCI, multiple shots fired, country concert. There was an officer who was standing there who was there for the motor vehicle accident from earlier in the night, and Dr. Menez looked at him and he said, "Hey, is this real?" And he said, "Yeah, this is real." We had no idea what to expect. All we knew is that there was a lot of people at that concert and we should be expecting a lot of patients. We are not the closest hospital to the venue, but they're not a trauma center. Sunrise is a level 2 trauma center. So at that point, the physicians started making a plan. They started making the phone calls to all the doctors, all the staff, everybody that they could. The doctors that were there that night, there was 4 doctors on that night, and they devised a plan on which area would contain which patients, red patients here, green patients here. During an MCI, the most senior doctor is who is in charge of the triage area. That night was Dr. Menez. He had alerted for any staff that was available to come down and to bring as many wheelchairs and gurneys as we could find. We all decided, okay, this is what we're going to do. Dr. Menez said we're going to do a quick assessment and then the patients are going to be going to their respective areas. So everybody was just kind of poised by a gurney or a wheelchair waiting for the word. It seemed like forever before the first patient got there. And it was kind of eerie because it was a dead silence, and you would expect to hear just sirens blazing. And I remember it was just so quiet. And then all of a sudden you heard a faint siren in the background. And the first vehicle to pull up was a police cruiser. And he had 4 or 5 patients in the back of his car. There was 2 on the floorboards, and then there was 3 in the seats. And I believe the second vehicle to pull up was a pickup truck, just somebody who had random people in the back of their truck. They had about 6 in there. And then it was about another 5 or 10 minutes before another vehicle, and then that was it. They just started flooding in, 5, 6, 8 vehicles at a time. We all just took a vehicle and we would run up to the back of the vehicle, and it was the same every time. Just throw open the back doors. Where you hit, ask the paramedics if they were stable. Probably about 20 minutes into that, one of the nurses ran out and screamed for Dr. Menez and said that he needed to get inside because there was just too many patients inside for the physicians to handle. And he grabbed me by the shoulders and he said, "You've seen what I've been doing, right?" And he says, "Well, okay, I need you to stay out here in triage." And I said, "No, I can't do this. I'm not qualified to do this." He says, "Yeah, you are. You're a nurse. You can do this." And so he left me out there with all these vehicles coming in and all these patients coming in, and it was just one after another after another. I believe the official count was 212, but there was many more than that because there were so many patients who were looking around and they realized, I don't need to be here. There's nothing wrong with me. I can go to quick care tomorrow or something like that. There was a man who grabbed me as I walked out and he said, "I need your help." And I said, "Well, sir, I can get somebody over here to help you." He says, No. He goes, "I know my girlfriend's dead." He says, "I just need you to go find her for me." And then he described her. He described her tattoo. He described her piercings. And I had to tell this man that I couldn't help him find his dead girlfriend. But it was just a constant influx of patients. They just didn't seem to stop. We ran out of a lot of supplies, so we had to have those delivered to us. We ran out of ventilators in the hospital, so we had to have ventilators delivered to us. We ran out of IV solutions. We had one vehicle that pulled up and we opened the doors and it was a young girl, and we took her out, and I looked at her and she wasn't breathing. She was a young girl, about my daughter's age. So I jumped on top of the gurney and I was doing CPR, and we were going down the hall, and we came around the corner and I had screamed for Dr. Menez. He came over and he assessed the patient, and he said that I had to stop. And what do you mean I have to stop? I've only been doing CPR for like 3 minutes. I'm not supposed to stop. Where's the drugs? We have to give her drugs. We have to push epi. We have to push all these drugs to revive this girl. She's young. We work on young people for 90 minutes sometimes to get them back. And he told me I had to stop doing CPR, and that part is the part that probably sticks with me the most, is because I felt that I couldn't do anything to save her. And I'm supposed to do that. That's my job. I was very mad at him because he made me stop trying to save this girl. Hindsight, of course, I understand why he did it. The majority of the time I was out in the front there. I hadn't seen what the back looked like. And when I went back there, there was patients everywhere. There was patients giving up their gurneys for other patients who were more hurt. See, I believe we got the first patient approximately 22:40, so it was close to midnight when it finally started to subside a little bit. Sunrise received the most patients of all the patients that were transported that night.